Everybody, welcome to the January 10th, 2024 meeting of Sloans Lake Citizens Group. This is our 43rd year, 44th year, Deb?
Something like that. I think it's almost 45th. It's in a couple of months, actually.
So I will just shoot the camera around and show that we are here at the Merritt Co-Workspace at 23rd and Irving. And we have not quite a packed house, but it's getting more full. The first speaker tonight will be Kaylin Campbell, Officer Kaylin Campbell from District 1 Police, our Community Resource Officer, and she'll be doing the crime reports for the Sloans Lake and West Colfax neighborhoods, and they are up on the screen as we speak, and there you go.
So, all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Technician Kaylin Campbell. So I'm your District 1 Community Resource Officer. So happy New Year. Happy to meet everyone here. Missed everyone in December. But we'll start with, it looks like Sloan Lake. So we'll go over some of these crime stats. So burglary went down, reported from 5 to 3. So in November, there were 5 reported cases. In December, there were 3. So that's positive. Criminal mischief, which is basically just damaged property, it went from 8 to 10. So slight increase there. Theft from motor vehicle went down significantly. 18 reported to 7 last month in December. So everyone, great job removing all your valuables. And then motor vehicle theft went up, a slight increase, went from 6 reported in November to 8 in December. Then we can switch over to West Colfax. Yeah. So I know everyone probably has a lot of questions about the double homicide at the Viking Bar. Unfortunately, right now, there's nothing that I can release to you. As soon as we do have something approved for public distribution, we can absolutely send that out to you. But it is being actively investigated. Every lead is being followed. And then we also have a couple of our public nuisance and abatement detectives assigned to that location as well. So as soon as I have any updates, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But as of right now, there's very little that I can share. So we'll go down to kind of the—
What date did it happen and what time of day?
I don't know the date offhand right now, but it was over, it was in the, yeah, it was a bar. So, but I will look up that information for you and I can get you more details on that.
Thank you.
So we'll go over to some of the property crime for the West Colfax area. So burglary went from 10 reported to 9 in December. Criminal mischief went from 29 reported in November to 20 in December. We can see that larceny, which is basic theft, it can be shoplifting, it can be package theft. It just depends on how it's reported. And it went from 15 in November to 24 in December. So just a little reminder, we have an increase of, online shopping. A lot of us do. I know I do. Just so you can get those packages delivered to Amazon lockers. If you have a neighbor you trust, they can pick it up as well. But just little simple reminders.
So that was mainly from packages.
It can vary, but that's a big thing. That is a very huge trend that we see around the holidays.
One of the benefits to the neighborhood here is the co-work space has those lockers outside and they are available to people if they want.
That's awesome.
Sign up for them.
So everyone listen to that. There's lockers available here and you can sign up. So highly recommend doing that. Theft from motor vehicle did decrease. Went from 25 reported in November to 14 in December. But motor vehicle theft there's a pretty significant increase of 18 reported in November to 34 in December. So as a reminder, with the cold weather, I know none of us like to sit inside of our cold vehicles. Please don't leave it running with your keys in there, trying to warm it up. People are very, very quick. We do have a limited number of steering wheel clocks or steering wheel clubs. So let me know if you need one. We'll get one over to you. And then we also still have this catalytic converter etching kits that we can hand out to you as well. We also do offer the Denver Track program. So if your vehicle has a GPS, we can get you registered so that, and then likely case that your vehicle is stolen, there's a quicker recovery time. So that's all I have for West Colfax. And then I have a couple of things. I'll send them to you. I haven't sent them over before. We have our District 1 Community Advisory Group meeting. It's gonna be next Wednesday, the 17th at 6 p.m. Held virtually and at the District 1 station. So if anyone's not on that email list, you can shoot me an email, we'll get you added. We'll go over the crime stats for the entire district, and then you can see kind of how your neighborhood rates amongst everywhere else. And then it's also stock show time, so I'll send this out to you as well. But just, we have some couple tips, just a reminder, if everyone's gonna go visit the stock show over there at National Western, we see an increase in theft from motor vehicles. So always lock your car, roll up the windows, and please take your keys. Sometimes they turn from theft from motor vehicle, and people keep a spare set of keys in there, and then it turns into a theft of your entire car. So not a good idea. Don't recommend leaving your keys inside the vehicle. Also, please do not leave valuables inside your vehicle. That includes empty bags, gym bags. No one knows what's inside of them. People are quick, they're gonna take it, and then you're out, whatever the damage is for your vehicle. Again, never leave your car running or unattended. Even if you're just running inside for a quick couple of minutes, people are fast, they're watching. Please don't be a victim of circumstance there. And then if you have it, you can use a car alarm, you can use that steering wheel lock to help protect your vehicle. And then if you can park in busy, well-lit areas, that's obviously recommended. And then just keep a copy of your vehicle registration in a safe place. Make sure you have it. They have the copies inside your vehicle that you can have without your address. And we also recommend taking your garage door openers, putting them with you, not leave them inside your vehicle, because if you have something with your address in there and your garage door opener, just another crime of opportunity. So does anyone have any questions?
Well, let me ask, so included in the Sloan's Lake theft, you're including online reports? Because I was one of those thefts from my shed. It got, the lock got cut off and my battery operated lawnmower was stolen.
So sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
So I filed a report online.
Yep.
I didn't really hear anything back. I just said, I filed it. What happens after you file online? Anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question is, what happens after you file a police report online? So yes, that is included inside of all this data that I included here. So every single case that you submit is reviewed by a detective. If there's any suspect information, if someone has video surveillance, they're going to reach out to you to obtain that video surveillance. It's really cool. Now we have a link that we can send you, and it gets automatically uploaded into your case. And we can absolutely, we'll distribute that to officers. They'll follow up on every lead, if there is any suspect information. If there's not, unfortunately, there's a little to follow up on. They still review the cases, but generally those case numbers are generated for insurance purposes. And also reporting, again, we like to have everyone report these crimes to us. We have a crime analyst who will compile this, listen to this data so we can show you. And not only that, we can talk with our command staff and know where to delegate our resources, so.
So I've got a question. Like on bicycles, they have, you can, register them with the city with the serial number and all that stuff. And there's a little sticker you can get, I believe.
Yeah.
But do they recommend doing something like that with an expensive piece of equipment like an electric lawnmower?
That's a really great question that I'm going to have to look into. Right now, we only have the bicycle registration, but that's a great idea because
Great idea.
I know that there have been a lot of thefts of, automated equipment. So let me look into that and I'll find an answer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So maybe you can give me the information. We have an update next month.
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Anyone else? There's a hand.
Keith, go ahead. It looks like you had a question.
Yeah, I guess it just popped into my head thinking about the, I'm definitely sorry to hear about your shed getting broken into, but does DPD, is there any data on how much, and I don't know the right way to say this, but video from Ring devices is actually used in being able to prosecute or get folks for anything like package theft or car theft or, obviously breaking into a shed. Is it really worth it? I think that's the question. I mean, I'm sure there's an off case where it actually helps, but in general, does DPD really use that video very much?
Yeah, so I don't have any data on that, but I can tell you specifically that we have attended multiple trainings, myself included, for Ring, for Next Door. We actually do gain a lot of information. So detectives often, let's start over. So at the time of the call, officers will respond out there. If they see Ring cameras, they'll note that address. If it's like in the middle of the night and they don't want to wake you guys up, generally they'll note the address, and then a detective or the officer will follow up that next day to try and see if there's any footage of some specific incident. But yeah, it actually does it's very helpful to have that. Even if we can't identify the suspect at that time, we can track them and log them all together and notice that we can identify patterns. So it is helpful if you do have surveillance, if you notice maybe a neighbor had something stolen, if you can reach out to them, if you have that surveillance footage, it's all helpful, so.
I can attest to the fact that Arlo cameras are very important, and I would suggest everyone get one for their front door, because in 2021, I had just activated my Arlo camera, which was not working for months and months. And long story short, there was a man trying to break into my house numerous times in the middle of the night. And so the Denver Police Department got involved. I uploaded all the camera footage to the DPD. They knew who they figured out who the suspect was. It was a very scary situation, and it lasted for about 2 months, and he was arrested, and he's now serving 10 years in prison. And this was an habitual offender who had actually spent 25 years previously in prison. So I can attest to the fact that people should have cameras on their front porch and on their back porch. And I will be getting a camera for the back alley. My neighbors didn't have any footage of the theft from my shed, but we, as a neighbor, all my neighbors that back up to this, that the alley backs up to our property, many of them have cameras back there. And so I highly recommend that you get a camera. Anybody who doesn't have one, it's worth the investment. It
Yeah,
really
good
is.
feedback.
It was a
Yeah.
very, very scary situation, and I posted it on Neighbor Next Door. I think you probably remember that, and it was, and I thought, I happen to have this Arlo camera that just got fixed. I'm wondering how many other people who don't have a camera, this guy was trying to get into their house also, who knows? But I think it practically saved my life. Well, let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
It was scary. Yeah.
I've never heard of that brand personally.
Arlo, yeah, Arlo, yeah,
So yes, there
There
are
makes
a
sense.
lot of benefits to having surveillance cameras.
yeah, there is.
Anyone else?
No questions on chat.
All right,
Thanks, Officer
Thank you.
Campbell.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, our next presenter tonight is Alessandra Dominguez, Council Aide for Van Sandoval, Council District 1. And she is in the room, but you could probably switch to her camera. There she is.
Alessandra, would you like me to share the presentation you had, or would you like to run it from your computer? Either way's fine.
You can share, Ellen, if that's okay.
Yeah, happy to.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so we've got our title page, sounds like citizens group, office staff. It's Gina, Melissa, and I. I will be your point of contact for constituent services. Councilman Sandoval has our monthly office hours. So the next set is going to be Friday, January 19th from 11 to 1 p.m. There are typically 6 slots available. 2 have been filled, so there are 4 remaining, and those will be in person.
In person at,
At 1810 Platt Street.
that's what I thought.
Yes. The Parks and Rec Advisory Board, they meet every second Wednesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. You can sign up for that meeting at denvergov.org/prab, and that's a great place to go if you have any dog park ideas, park safety concerns, if you have questions about park projects or park organization. The Department of Transportation Infrastructure Advisory Board meets every second Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m. And I believe Alan is even on that board, so he is a great person to contact about the advisory board. That's also another place that you can go if you have street lighting or signage issues. If you would like traffic calming measures, if you have any questions or concerns. I know our office gets a lot of emails about wanting stop signs at certain intersections. This would be a really good place to bring those issues to light. And when you're talking to Dottie, if you want a stop sign, don't ask for a stop sign, because all they will do is check to see if that area needs a stop sign, and then it'll end there. If you ask for a traffic calming measure, then they'll check for every possible solution to that area. So words matter there. And then tree cycling. So Sloan's Lake neighborhood is actually very fortunate to have a Saturday drop-off site, January 13th, 20th, and 27th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sloan's Lake Northwest parking lot.
Oops, sorry. I clicked on the wrong button, Alessandra. 1 second. There we go. We're back.
And then there's also additional sites to drop it off. The compost bin roll out. So we're projected to receive that in the first quarter of 2025. I know.
2025.
2025?
I know. So I started June of 2023, and when I started, even then they were like, oh, first quarter of 2024, should have them even by summer of 2023, the end of summer. Now Dottie is saying first quarter of 2025. You can go to their website to see more information, so you can see specific neighborhoods that have already gotten it. According to Dottie, they're prioritizing based on neighborhoods with lower diversion rates in their rollout. But you will continue to receive a credit on the invoice until compost is available.
Alessandra, do you mind if I chime in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
The good news is this shows that our neighborhood is one of the winners in the city, that we already have a really good recycling rate. So all of you should give yourselves a pat on the back, because you were doing a good job relative to other neighborhoods in the city. And to give some color commentary as to why this is happening, it's really a supply chain issue. The city is trying to purchase these additional compost trucks or trash trucks, and we're just kind of at the mercy of the timing that it takes to get these trucks. Unfortunately, it's not like going and buying a car on a lot kind of thing. There is quite a bit of delay waiting for those, so that it definitely has something to do with that as well. It's not for lack of wanting to get the compost rolled out to everyone.
So I guess my question would be, why did the city put this forth to everybody before checking on the availability of compost bins? Like, shouldn't they have put the order in and know that they're coming and actually have the bins in their garages before they start pushing out this big my neighbors are going to be so mad about this. I share my compost bin with them because they are just constantly going, when are we going to get our bins? It's like, why did the city do this backwards? I don't get that.
Yeah, I think, it was a while ago that we started this process to order. It's not the bins. The bins are easy enough to get. It's the trucks. These are very specialized vehicles. A lot of them are green vehicles that are running on alternative fuels as opposed to diesel and gas. So they're very specialty things. And it just, like everything else in the world, over the last few years, there's been some serious supply chain issues. So it's disappointing to everybody for sure. I hear you, but it's the reality of the supply chain issues with purchasing trash trucks right now in the world.
Well, it's also the reality of Denver putting something forth to people without having the resources first before they did it. I mean, it really is not right. It's not right.
And I would just ask, notwithstanding the credit that's given to us, how much of a surplus is being built up by charging us every month and not providing the service?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
You're being charged not.
So they're charging.
Yeah,
you're
you're getting a discount, so you're not being charged for that compost. So having seen the numbers recently of the Dottie budget, I can tell you that they are not running at a surplus right now. That the department is pretty thin, and they actually had to, are cutting the budget in different places right now. So there's definitely not a situation where they're just sitting there flush with cash by any means. It's definitely a tight fiscal year for the city and really the department as a whole too.
And I would say, Alan, too, like all these questions can be asked at that Dottie Advisory Board. Is that right?
Yeah, we would welcome if anyone's wants to get more insight on the comp house rollout being delayed. You're welcome to come to me. I'll put my email in the chat to ping me with emails with ideas of future topics that you would like to see brought up at board meetings. You're welcome to come and give public comment at the meetings to talk about if you all are seeing issues with speeding, you'd like more traffic calming, more stop signs. If you'd like to come and complain about the rollout because your frustration is real. You were given the promise of having it sooner rather than later, and it's late. Not making excuses, just want you guys to understand why it's running late. Please feel welcome to come to the board or ping with an email. I got elected the co-chair of the Dottie Advisory Board last night, so I have a little more control of the agenda going forward. So would love to bring up any ideas that you guys have that you'd like more in-depth presentations on. And I'll put the link to our meeting from last night. I'll send it out to the group via email when that becomes available, as there are some interesting updates from the mayor. We have a new executive director for Dottie. Her name is Amy Ford. She's great. She's worked at both CDOT and the private sector. So I think we're really excited to see some new leadership at the department. Director Phipps was great, but I think it'll be great to have a new perspective. The COO for the city was at our meeting last night. So there's a lot of eyes on Dottie, and the COO for the city comes from a background of managing solid waste pickup and things like that from Chicago. So there's definitely a lot of new experience and great experience coming into the department as we speak.
Well, so Dottie is in charge of the recycle and the trash? I don't
That's
know,
right.
So another issue is the trash pickup. My trash went for our neighborhood, all the alleys in my neighborhood did not get trash picked up for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So the date was the 29th of November, it was picked up. And the next time it was picked up wasn't even on our trash day, was on the 18th of December. And that was after multiple calls. So I hope that somebody is improving down there, because between my neighbors, I have had a green bin since it was it was free, you know, so I was I've had a green bin forever, and I've been paying $107 every year when it stopped being free. But, you know, it just seems like it's a big mess. It's a big mess.
It's really frustrating. It's happened to me too. The secret words that you want to use when you call 311 is, I would like to speak to a solid waste supervisor. If you're seeing that it's not coming and continually not coming, if they're, you know, traditionally, if it doesn't get picked up on the day of, leave it out for one more day. And they're likely to, they just were down a person that day and they'll come the next day to get it. But if you're seeing this happen, I've spoke with the solid waste supervisors on the phone, and they recognize that they're very apologetic. They're in the business of wanting to pick it up for you. It's not acceptable that you're not getting picked up, but know that that is the magic keyword to get a little more attention for sure.
Good advice.
I have one more question. So can you drop, when you send the email with the other information to the people getting this information, a link, or drop the chat as well, since there's great information being in the chat? And if we're in person, we're not going to have access to the chat. Can you save the chat and send that out with the email?
You can go online and view the recording, and get the chats that way.
No, not the whole chat, Tom.
Yeah, we
Sorry.
can save the chat. That's a great suggestion. We can definitely save the chat and pass it on to.
I'd rather just look at the chat than all of the video again.
I want that information for every webinar. I don't know how to save the chats. I'm like,
Most of the time, so if you're online, and most of the time, if you're there's 3 buttons, and you just hit that, and you can, and in the chat box, there's the 3 little buttons. If you just click on that, you can save the chat, and it goes right into your mail, into your.
Okay, good to know. I
If
never.
you're online.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great. Alessandra, like to highlight Snow Angels?
Yeah, so I mean, we have that cold front coming in right now. I don't see snow currently in the forecast, but it is Denver, so just give it 2 hours, right? So if you would like to receive a snow angel to help with shoveling your snow, you can request help with that. If you email snowangels@denvergov.org, you can go to the website or you can call 720-913-SNOW. To receive a snow angel, you must be a city and county resident. You must be an older adult who cannot physically shovel, or you must be a resident living with a disability. If you know anybody who would like to volunteer for the program, they can also request to volunteer the same way. They have to be 18 years of age or older, be a resident of the city and county of Denver, and they have to physically be able to visit those homes and shovel the sidewalks.
Can I plug this real quick, Alessandra?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I did this a few years ago when I used to live in Lower Highland. I love shoveling, and I lived in a condo building at the time, didn't have it, and they paired me up with this awesome guy, old school North Denver, Joe Botero. Got to become really good friends with him and shoveled his sidewalk for quite some time. So for anyone that's considering doing it, it's a really rewarding experience. I highly recommend it.
And a good workout.
And a good workout.
This has
Totally.
previously been presented to Sloans Lake Citizens Group, but the Federal Boulevard Pedestrian Safety Project did start in November. It's expected to wrap up by the fall of 2024. This was funded by the voter-approved Elevate Denver bond. And those improvements include upgrading the pedestrian ramps on Federal Boulevard between West 25th and West 26th Avenue, adding concrete bulb outs in the area on street corners to shorten pedestrian crossing distances and slowing down vehicles. They're installing a hawk signal on Federal Boulevard at West 25th Avenue for pedestrians and bicyclists. They're upgrading stormwater infrastructure at West 25th and West 26th Avenues on Elliott Street, and they are installing chicanes and green infrastructure.
So I live like a block from there. So going over to Safeway was like a real adventure. There was a little opening in the north of 26. But the street north on Federal, north of 26, was totally taken out, down like 20 feet. What were they doing? Now it's all put back together. It doesn't look any different. There is still a cement barrier. Doesn't look any different from when it started. Not at all, except for the cement barrier.
It was stormwater infrastructure.
Is that what they were doing? Is that, I mean, what was that? It was a huge mess.
I know.
And I don't know what happened. I mean, what was the big mess about?
I'm not in their construction meetings. This is the information that they provided to me. I can find out more if you would like. It does sound like stormwater infrastructure, if they ripped it all up and then put it back together.
Okay.
Alessandra, you mind if I chime in?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly right. It is stormwater infrastructure. It's one of those things that looks, what did they do here? It doesn't feel like they did anything, but I can tell you it is very meaningful to upgrade some of this stormwater infrastructure that is decades and decades old and outdated. When they're replacing this, it has tremendous benefits to the neighborhood because and you all remember the storm that we had earlier last year that flooded many of the basements, including mine. It's going to help significantly with that drainage. And especially if we're starting to see these larger rain events like we have in the last few years. So it's not really fun. You don't get to see it, but the good news is it's going to make a major impact when we do have these major rain events coming up.
But just a question, so will they be closing the road the same way they did on 26th again, or has that been done and there'll be different rolling closures till 2024? Do we know?
The major closure is done. There could be more along the way. Alessandra might know more about that, but the biggest one
Done.
has happened.
It's open. 26 is open though.
I just wondered if it'd be closing again.
Oh.
25th will be closed for some time
Yeah.
going forward, but 26, I think you're probably pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you.
Alan, are there closures that are gonna happen south of like 23rd at all?
Not as part of this project.
Do you know if there's anything on the works? Because it seems like that's where a lot of the deaths and traffic accidents have been happening down around.
Yeah, that I would
14.
encourage all of you to come to our Dottie Advisory Board meeting and thank them for the safety project here. but to plead that, hey, this isn't where people are dying the most. People are dying the most south of 23rd on Federal, especially down by 14th and by 20th Street and things like that. And people are dying up in Chafee Park. I think we've had 5 pedestrian fatalities like all at night north of I-70 in Chafee Park, between Regis and Chafee Park. So I think it's good that Dottie hears from this community that we want safer Federal, safer Sheridan, safer West Colfax. The good news is there are improvements coming on the section up by Chafee Park. There are improvements coming near North High School to adding a median for pedestrians to cross with, but nothing planned right now south of 23rd, unless Alessandra, unless you've heard of anything.
I haven't heard anything as of yet.
I have a question. Talks about a hawk signal. What is a hawk signal? And it also refers to chicanes, and I don't know what a
Oh, yeah.
chicane is.
Yeah, I know. What is a chicane? It's gonna curve.
A hawk signal, Tom, looks something like this. Sorry if it's not coming up here right away. I'm just pulling the first picture that I could find online here. It's pretty much a big signal that sticks out over the street. It's got 3 lights. So for drivers, the way it works is you can just drive when it's blank. And then when a pedestrian hits the button, it's going to start to blink yellow. And then it's going to turn yellow. That's when you know you should slow down and stop. And then it's going to turn red, just like a red light. You stop and you don't go through the intersection. Pedestrian starts to cross. Pedestrian typically gets most of the way through the intersection. And then it's going to start to blink red, and you would treat it like any blinking red light or a stop sign. You'll treat it like a stop sign. If the coast is clear, well, you stop, and then you can proceed through when it's blinking red. And then it just stops blinking red, and you can just drive through it. From the pedestrian perspective, it looks like a normal pedestrian crossing. There's a white walking person and a red hand when you can go and not go. It looks like this.
Thank you.
What's a chicane?
Oh, sorry. A chicane is a curve in the road. There's going to be a chicane on 25th Avenue. Oh, here's a great picture of one in the shopping area. I think this is from Portland or somewhere a little more green than Denver, but if you can see that. It'll be like this. So there'll be shopping, both of the shopping on the either side. So it'll traffic calming to make the street more pedestrian friendly. The city has found when you install these pedestrian calming measures, in the end, it actually helps businesses because more people want to walk there. It's a more inviting and welcome environment, and traffic's moving slower. There's less noise. There's a lot of great benefits for it. And that's going to be put on 25th Avenue between Grove and Federal.
Between Elliott and Federal.
Thank you.
Between
Sorry.
Elliott
And Federal. Thank you. My bad. Yes.
I like the plant action on those.
Yeah, really.
Be a good place for pollinator gardens.
Yeah, they're going to put in some green infrastructure there, so it'll actually clean the water as it drains off. There's some really cool things that they're doing with it.
Nice. Well, it started. I was over there today. There's a huge dirt pile. Huge.
Awesome Rec Center is partnering with Volo to present free basketball for kids. That's going to run Saturday, January 20th to February 24th from 11 to noon. And each kid will receive a shirt, coach, equipment, and snack. You can register using the link on that slide. There's also the Denver Youth Employment Program. So that's for youth ages 14 to 24, trying to support them in their journey to create a career. They have opportunities to work at places like Denver Public Schools, Urban Peak, and more. You can visit their website. You can call 720-337-9675 or email workforce@denvergov.org for more information. All right, we have a House 1000 update. And I do know that Alex Gutierrez from the mayor's office is on the call. I'm not sure if he's going to speak. I think he had a headache a bit earlier, but so you can chime in is what I'm trying to say. Mayor Johnson declared a state of emergency for homelessness from July to December of 2023. The goal is to house 1,000 people before the end of the year. That has been accomplished and exceeded. As of today, and I just checked a few hours ago, there was 1,148 individuals that had been moved indoors. You can go to the Access House 1000 dashboard And it has like 4 different pages of interactive graphs for you to see that data broken down a bit more and understand the numbers a bit better.
Are these people gonna stay indoors or are they gonna be ousted in 14 days?
That's a question for the mayor's team. As far as I know, there is not that 14-day deadline, but perhaps Alex, when we get.
Yeah. Hi, not sure who asked the question, but for the House 1000 initiative, those folks who are being housed that the dashboard reflects, there's not an exit date for 14 days. That's not what
Good.
a House 1000 initiative is intended to do. It's intended to make sure folks are able to find permanent housing outside of the shelters that we have placed them in. But there's not a 14-day exit policy for those at all.
Well, that's good news.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, Alessandra.
Okay, and then I have a Zoo Night encampment update. So for those of you who don't know, there was an encampment of newcomers on 26th and Zoo Night. On December 27th, 2023, the encampment was posted, and then it was decommissioned 7 days later on January 3rd, 2024. It was a multi-agency decommissioning. Councilwoman Sandoval and I were there at 7 a.m. that morning, as was Alex from the mayor's office, to help move all those people indoors. We provided shelter to 270 people. That site is closed. Migrants were sheltered at 2 congregate shelters, and families were moved indoors to their own shelter meant specifically for families. Denver is currently at capacity. We are struggling to keep up with the buses coming in. Migrants are being provided free bus tickets to other cities where they have access to better resources, including support from friends and family. In February, Denver will implement a length of stay policy for families again, and that is separate again from the House 1000. The mayor's office has committed to a minimum of 2 weeks notice before that policy does get implemented. Single adults of 18 years of age or older are allowed 14 days in shelter currently, and that was the largest demographic at that Zoo Night encampment. It was mostly made up of single people over the age of 18. Currently, $180 million is projected to be the possible impact on the city budget due to the migrant crisis, and that could account for as much as 10% of the general fund. So Denver is doing the best it can, but it'd be helpful for people to reach out to their U.S. representatives for resources for the migrants. Our office has come up with sample language for you to use if you should so choose to reach out to those representatives. You can contact Senator Hickenlooper at 202-224-5941, or you can email him at hickenlooper.senate.gov. You can contact Senator Bennett by calling 202-224-5852 or email him at bennett.senate.gov. And you can also contact Congresswoman DeGette by calling 202-224-5657 and emailing deGette.house.gov. There's also a newcomers fund that is accepting monetary donations from the public. Those donations do go directly to the city's nonprofit, which supports navigation resources, shelter, and other services. If you would like to volunteer, you can find out more information by clicking on that link provided. There's also a clothing donation for migrants. So community ministry, 1755 Zuni Street, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to noon, is accepting children's clothes only. Para Ti Mujer, that's 150 Sheridan Boulevard, Suite 200 in Lakewood, is accepting donations from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Colorado Changemakers Collective is at 12075 45th Avenue, Monday through Friday. They're accepting donations from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Obviously, this time of year, winter clothes are a really requested item. If you'd like more information, you can visit that link below. And then we have the legislative spotlight. So Council President Pro Tem Sandoval did ask her colleagues to donate any remaining money in their district budgets to the Human Services Border Crisis Special Revenue Fund response. On December 11th, a total of $345,000 was transferred from City Council to that fund to financially aid in providing housing assistance to the newly arrived migrants. Councilwoman Sandoval also sponsored a proclamation declaring December 18th as It Takes a Village Day, in appreciation of the Denver Office of Children's Affairs and other partners providing resources and services to Denver families. The Near Northwest Area Plan Initiative did complete its first step towards adoption. It did pass out of the Land Use, Transportation, and Infrastructure Committee. You can sign up to provide public comment on January 22nd by visiting that City Council website. If you click on the word website, it'll take you to that page. And then Councilwoman Sandoval also sponsored a bill for the city to lease the Little Sisters of the Poor campus at 3629 West 29th Avenue to provide temporary housing to the newly arrived migrants.
And we'll be speaking to that later in the
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
Like Technician Campbell had said, Technician Grubman.
Okay.
I apologize. Citizen Advisory Group is meeting every third Wednesday at 6 p.m. and that's going to be the 17th. Parking is free. If you'd like to sign up, you can email Technician Grudman or Technician Campbell to get on that list to attend virtually.
Sorry if I called you the wrong name, Technician Grobman.
Oh, no, it's Campbell.
Sorry.
It is Campbell that's today. Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
So we have our contacts for Denver Police District. Firstly, there's Commander Ledger. He is a newer commander. He's been here about 4 months. Would you say, Technician? Yeah, 4 months around there. You can email him at edward.ledger@denvergov.org, where you can reach him at 720-913-6135. There's also Sergeant Rebatorano, so he's under Commander Ledger. You can email him at aaron.rebatorano@denvergov.org at 720-913-1018. And then for issues like speeding, panhandling, and neighborhood issues, your contacts are Technician Campbell and Technician Grodman. You can find their email addresses there, as well as their phone numbers. And then for those of you who don't know, there is also a team that is specialized in homeless outreach. They're called the Homeless Outreach Team. Their acronym is HOT. And that's, yeah, it's a good one, right? That is comprised of Officers O'Connell and Officers Juarez. They're really great whenever homeless encampments are reported. They do go out there, they offer resources. So when you see that, you can contact Officers O'Connell and Juarez. If you contact Technicians Campbell and Grodman, they will also route it back to Officers O'Connell and Juarez. And they are specialized specifically for that area. And then we have contacts for Northwest Denver. There's the park ranger contact information, park.ranger@denvergov.org to report any issues, 311 to report any issues. Non-emergency safety line is 720-913-2000. We've got the Parks and Recreation permitting website. If you'd like to watch City Council and the committees, you can click on that link. And if you need to report anything online to 311, you can also go to that denvergov.org/home. And then lastly, or second to last, you can connect with District 1 at district1@denvergov.org. You can call us at 720-337-7701. You can go to our website and you can sign up for those office hours I mentioned earlier. And then I believe that is the last side. You can visit our website. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or X, however. I still call it Twitter, but
X, formerly
how you
Twitter.
reach us.
That's its official name.
Formerly known as
Twitter.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
you have given us a ton of information.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't write it down that quickly. Where do I go to get this presentation rather than going to this, the whole meeting
Sure.
review of this?
So there's two items. So one, the link for this presentation is in the chat that Alan said that he was going to coordinate, so you don't have to watch the whole video. And then two, most of this information can be found on our newsletter that goes out at the beginning of each month
And how do you get the newsletter?
Through email.
through email. Yep. so you
And
can-
how do we request it?
Is that one on your slide?
Yes, so it's on the slide deck, how you can request it. You can also go to our website. And then if you just click on sign up for newsletter, you can input your email address there.
Can
If
you
you're,
get that into the newsletter?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't find it on your website.
okay, I can,
Double check that because I looked everywhere. That's why I sent you today a
Yeah.
request to join the newsletter. And then when you sent me the information, it might take you a little bit of time to get back to you. It had the link for the newsletter, so I signed up and then somebody else signed me up again because you responded to my email. And so I just don't want you to get double things. And even in that last slide, it didn't seem to have the newsletter link. It had your office link, Twitter, Facebook, all the others.
Mhm.
But there's, just to make sure the newsletter is more prominent or accessible so people know how to get it because
sure.
it is very helpful.
Yeah,
Let me
that
see if I
newsletter is
can
very
find
good.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions for Alessandra?
hey, Alan, would it be okay if I shared my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Here's. Okay, so if you go to Councilwoman Sandoval's website, here's her homepage. Scroll down, community office hours, District 1 news, sign up for District 1 newsletter.
Oh,
There it is. And if you click on
Sign up for
that,
news.
then all you have to do is input your email address, first name, last name, address, phone number, and then just 3 questions before you can subscribe.
Yeah.
And then any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If there's no other questions, it's very much informative. The Alan, is I'm Favis online tonight or?
Is there anyone from Council President Torres' office here with us tonight?
I think she said she probably couldn't be here tonight.
Mhm.
No,
Okay.
I think it's just District 1.
Okay, then, is Kurt Weaver, he said he would be available for the meeting tonight.
Hello.
Sure, hoping he's there.
Second?
Yeah.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Kurt.
Asking you shall receive. Thank you.
Good evening, Tom and team. Thanks for having me on. I can do a quick presentation if you'd like, or I can just chat. It depends on what you prefer.
Quick presentation.
A quick presentation, I think, would be good. We
Okay.
do have a slide that we captured.
I saw that one, so I like that. Thank you for that. I'll go ahead and share this for you.
But Alan, I thought you were gonna show the AJ Steinke walking on water.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. I'll share the screen for that.
Great.
See here, sharing audio. Can everyone see AJ here on the lake?
Yeah.
Back to you, Kurt.
So I do believe that he showed us the point that it's very sedimented in certain parts. I can't figure out where he was walking on water, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I can do a little bit more there too. So I can talk a little bit more about that. I of course was going to start with the flashy fun stuff, but I'll get a little bit to the work. Uh, so thanks everybody for listening in tonight. And I will also share my slides to make sure that people can see what I am doing here. So I'll send it over to Tom, you and Alan, so you can have them. We our focus, of course, is Sloan's Lake and making sure that lake gets fixed and back to health. But we do that through a couple different ways. And one of the things that we do is parties and events in order to then bring awareness and education. And so we've added another event for 2024. We're really excited to have this event be in place. And so we're really enthused about this one. Anybody who is familiar or was alive during the 80s will appreciate this as well. It's going to be a fun 80s prom night. It's going to be as silly as it probably sounds. It's going to be over at the Sons of Italy that many of you are probably familiar with. It's just sort of just across the border there into Wheat Ridge from Denver. And so we're excited to have that event now on February 23. We'd love to have you all in attendance if you are able and willing, and if you'd like to have an outfit. We highly encourage outfits for that. So the website is up and rolling. So if you'd like to check that out, it's Sloan's Lake prom.com. And so we will have that up and rolling for you. Our next event for the year is also scheduled, which is our June 1 Sloan's Lake Wide Open Putt Bar Crawl. And that will be June 1 all around the lake. That's going to be all kinds of, it was just on the south end this past year. This next year, it's going to be on the south and west side of the lake, and potentially a few little spots in the north end of the lake as well. So it's going to be an expanded event this year, which will be a super fun event, but that's on track for June 1. And then sort of our banner event and our anchor event, Jamming on the Jetty, will be the 21st of September for 2024. So go ahead and get that on your calendar, Tom. Hopefully you and the team can make it out again with your tent, and we can have representation for the citizens group there. Onto the work. We had a couple of different cleanups throughout the year. So our first one was early on in the year, but really what we found was that there's a need for ongoing and regularly scheduled cleanups. So that's what we're working right now with the team to get our regularly scheduled cleanups. We decided to probably forego January for weather purposes, but going forward, February and onward, we'll have a monthly cleanup. I'll make sure dates get over to you. It's an open, all hands on deck. Anyone can come out. We also found some luck within some organizations and companies who want to raise the hand to be able to do something. And sometimes without a very clear ask to do something, they like to default to a lake. So this is actually a local company. They're located over by the Alamo Drafthouse movie theater, and they asked to be able to do something for the lake. And so we decided that a cleanup would be great for them. So they actually did it as a team building exercise around the holiday, which was kind of a nice activity to be able to undertake. So I'd say if you have a group that you'd like to do, or if you're part of any organization that would like to be part of a cleanup, we now own all the pickers. And so we went out and got some of the actual pickers. So we've got a bunch of those things. We've got all the trash bags, the gloves, and then we'll make sure that we dispose of the trash appropriately. And the crew out there at Sloan's Lake is wonderful. They've been helpful with that too. So please let us know if that's something you'd like to do. On to the rest of it. I guess I'd probably start with we've been working with, I say Jessica's on with her team from Parks and Rec. We've been working lately with a group called Anchor QEA, which we've actually contracted with now. And we're trying to get some framework around getting some more concrete understanding of what plans could be. And I think where we've sort of come into is for 2024 and getting into 2025, our focus and goals are going to move into some political pressure, frankly, to get moving on the project. And so I think that's where Jessica, the Parks and Rec team, and everybody else are going to do all that they can possibly do, and where we can help them out the most is to increase the pressure on those who are our duly elected officials to make sure that Sloan's Lake is a priority within the overall system. So that's really where our focus has kind of turned to. Our education committee did its first lake walk, and we'll be continuing things like that. I would actually, and Tom, I'll follow up. I'd love to be able to do a lake walk for the citizens group. We kind of have a neat story to tell now. We've got 4 stops along the way with pre-prescribed things to talk about at each location to give a lot of the history and current challenges of the lake. But in each one of those as well is the call to action to just sign up and get engaged and get ready to support what will eventually be a vote will be down the road, likely on whatever it looks like for things like bond issues or whatever comes way down the road on that side. But really, the initial item is just letting people know that there is a challenge and that we all are passionate about getting a solution. And so that's really where we're going to be spending our Q1 and Q2 of this year, is diving deep into that and making sure that those political leaders understand what that is. I think it's also us coming with some plans. We've sort of been encouraged by those that are on our board and on our steering committees to come up with plans that we can walk through doors and hopefully help and supplement what the city and Parks and Rec and will end up doing. And so that's really where we've like I said, contracted with Anchor QEA, this engineering firm who does dredging of lakes across the country and projects much like this, to where it is sometimes community neighborhood organizations that start these initiatives. But they're very familiar with the process of what that looks like and how to do it on the technical side, and then also on that political side to get the will of the people on board as well. So that's really where we've been spending our time. We rounded out last year with a final event, kind of bringing everybody together and introducing Anchor to our friends and community. And we'll be continuing that work going forward here in the I guess the first half of this year as things ebb and flow. Keith, I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, sorry, my computer went out for a minute, so I don't know if I missed this, but what is the plan for Sloan's? Like, what are you proposing?
So there's no plan in place yet. The Parks and Rec team has done a bunch of testing, and they're currently working with a couple of subcontractors to develop what would be an option of plans. And if Jessica's on, I'm very happy to default to Jessica. I see you on there. I don't know if this is. I'll speak and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So Parks and Rec is going to be developing what is going to be basically a 3-tiered options of a plan to then be evaluated by Dottie, Mile High Flood District, Parks and Rec, and City of Denver, and to kind of see what they want to do going forward. That's going to be what is officially done. And I think from our standpoint, our goal is a long-term and lasting solution, which most likely includes a big chunk of it being dredging and something that's more permanent like that. So that's where we are going to push as hard as we can in order to ensure it is a bigger solution than to do something that might be just the smaller ongoing, trying to kind of keep it clean as it kind of puts along as a lake. So AJ's video highlights where Parks and Rec does a yeoman's work to keep that lake as good as it looks right now. But the real solution is dredging that lake.
Is there a dollar amount that you guys have come up with?
That's partially why we engage Anchor, in order to then have a good solution around that and start to see what dollars are going to have to be brought together. It is going to be in the tens of millions, absolutely. So there's not a way to dredge that lake on a cheap way. It's really going to come down to how much of it gets dredged. So you don't have to dredge 100% of the lake in order to get cleanliness. Sometimes it's dredging certain areas of it, or not taking it back to its original depth, but maybe some portion of that. So it's lots of variables in there. And then what I've also learned about dredging, it's almost as expensive to remove this stuff and put it somewhere else as it is to actually pull it out of the lake. So where that goes and how it's used going there is a big chunk of it, whether we have to pay that cost or if somebody will buy it and use it. That's all kind of variables that go into it. So Anchor will give us some very clear numbers on what that looks like, so we can start talking about those kind of things publicly.
Is that, well, a couple of questions. This might be more appropriate for the other speaker
Sure.
on this. One is, I mean, is there feasible to like make a hill, I guess, somewhere in the park? And the other one is, was Washington Park Lake dredged a few years ago? Like, and I feel like it might have been, and I didn't know if there was a cost comparison on the two. So
Yeah, I know partially it would be the park would be recontoured in some ways just by nature of what you're doing. I think it's sometimes going to depend on what's in the bottom of it, and that's what's the Parks and Rec are doing right now to see, is it toxic in the bottom of the lake. As some of you may know, we mined lead out of the lake in the 80s and in the 70s, and so there's certainly things in the bottom that could be an issue. So far, what the testing looks like, there's not toxicity to the level of worry on the testing they've done preliminarily, but that could be something that changes as we go. So toxicity is one of those issues as to, can it be filled in for basically a park, or does it have to be disposed of in a real way? And disposed of in a way, if it's toxic, again, that price tends to jump. I don't know about Wash Park, but I know there has been a couple of stop-start dredgings at Sloan's Lake that I know really soured some of the members of the community who've been around, for a good long time. And I think that's one of those things that we've been a little bit battling against, to say, listen, it's not going to be the same situation. And The last dredging that happened in the early 2000s, the company went bankrupt who did it and just sort of left the stuff on the side of the lake and it's ended up stinking and people were not thrilled. So we want to make sure that's not going to be the case as well.
I think that was before the 2000s. I think
But
that
back
was
in
a
the
long time
eighties,
ago.
back in the eighties.
Yeah, that was way long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that was
happened in
a-
the 80s as well. It happened in the 2000s as well. So there's been 2 attempts to dredge the lake, and both have failed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hey Kurt,
Mhm.
as far as you know, are motorized water vehicles a thing of the past for good on Sloan's Lake, or do you know?
So the question is an open one. There isn't an answer to the question. What the Parks and Rec will do and what I think the community will look for is they're gonna basically ask for how the community wants the lake to be used going forward, and that will help to inform as well how much dredging would be done and some of those kind of solutions I think will inform a little bit. But it's also then rules like that now that we're post-COVID. Do we like how it is now? Do we want to go back to that? Is there going to be a mixed use? So one of those things I'd refer to is the way that our rafters and kayakers and our fisher people get together and kind of use the same river is that they release more water on those days where it's more rafting and less water when the people want to fish. There is ways to do basically we can all kind of use it for the way you want to. So there could be a mixed solution, there could be a ban, or there could be a reallowance. That's where the community will have to use its voice, and they've already done a few meetings. The first meeting was earlier last year, and then they'll do some more ongoing meetings about that, including, I believe, some survey at things like Jamming on the Jetty and other events. That's where they do survey the community for some of those informational pieces.
Excellent, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thanks everybody, and I'll pass over slides as well as email in case there's any more questions or items. And thanks very much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that Jessica here? That sounded like. He said.
Uh,
See. Yeah.
I don't know.
Who are you looking
Yes.
for, guys?
He
Hi,
said
everyone.
Jessica.
I'm
Jessica?
Jessica Anderson with Denver Parks and Recreation. I was told by my boss to listen into this meeting. I wasn't planning to share anything yet. But as Kurt alluded to, we are working closely with the Sloans Lake Park Foundation on the environmental assessment study we're running right now. My team just met internally with Jolyn Clark, our new Parks ED, to brief him on Sloan's Lake and the results we've seen so far. So we are close to being able to release those reports to the public. So more to come soon.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
I will add that I see Janine on here who was an amazing golfer at last year's Sloan's Lake Wide Open. So anybody who's wanting to compete against, just be careful. Janine and Ruth they were lights out. So
Whoa. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, I'm looking for that website, for the 80s party on the Sloan's Lake Foundation website. Is it on, can we get there from there?
sloanslakeprom.com.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And you've reminded me I need to add the link over there. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. Alan, if you could pop up slides 8 and 9, please. Okay, this is the property at 17th and Sheridan. They are currently under construction with the infrastructure, so it's finally beginning to move. When we're approached by the developer early on, it was going to be all rental units, but now a sign on the site indicates that they're all going to be for sale condos. And they are one studio, 1 and 2 bedroom units starting at the 400,000s, which seems to me that the affordable piece is long gone. So I'm gonna find out exactly how they handled, whether they're putting some money in for offsite affordable, because they have enough units there that it triggers the requirement for
Except it was approved as a PUD, so.
it was.
I testified at that. I think so. It's the old St. Anthony's Hospital?
No, this is 17th and Sheridan, and
What did somebody just say? What was that little conversation?
Could you
No,
say that
no,
louder?
no,
We couldn't hear you. Yeah.
I was talking about St. Anthony's, which also just recently broke ground, so I wasn't sure. I was confused. This is a different one. This is along Sheridan.
yeah.
No, I know, but somebody just said something, or did that not apply? There was a conversation you just had going on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It did not apply. It was a different.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you. I just couldn't hear.
So at least you can see they're doing the infrastructure. At this point, it's mainly installing underground utilities. I've seen, like, there's a new fire hydrant right at the corner, and saw lots of pipe that is used for water and sewer that have been sitting on the site. So finally, something is beginning to happen there, which means when it gets further along that we'll finally get our sidewalks. Hip hip hooray.
Crazy. It's only taken
Go
50 years. or more.
Okay, these are pictures from the 17th and Zenobia, which is right across the alley from that. The upper right-hand picture shows the single-family home that was there, and it was taken down, and it appears that they are building 2 duplex buildings on the property, which is interesting to me because it's the zoning currently on the city zoning map is U, which means urban, SU, which means single unit, C1, and the one means that you can add an ADU. So I don't know.
Which is the ADU. So it's not double, it's not a 2.
Right, why their duplexes going in unless the zoning map just hasn't been updated, so I'll follow up on that, but they are coming along, and so the next thing, Deb will take talk about the Mullen Home and Little Sisters of the Poor.
Deb will read from an article that Tom handed me right before the meeting. So,
but I think the article will clarify what's going on there, and so people, that it seems like the city has it well in hand.
yeah, the first migrant families are scheduled to move into temporary housing in the Mullen Home in the West Highlands at the end of the week, after City Council approves a deal between the city and the Archdiocese of Denver. The city will lease the former assisted living facility at 3629 West 29th, which has 75 apartment units, until the end of next year. Denver plans to use about 30 of the units initially and may increase that number after operations and other services are set up, officials said. Part of the agreement includes the land swap between the city and the Archdiocese. The 2 entities will exchange properties they currently lease from one another, and the difference in the value of the land will cover the city's full rent cost for the Mullen House apartments for the year. Additionally, as part of the Mullen House lease agreement, the city will pay $1.5 million for utilities, maintenance, repairs, and insurance. The transitional housing option will be available to migrant families with children as a stopgap between leaving temporary emergency shelter and finding permanent housing. Families will be able to stay in the units for 90 days, and discussions about how much they will pay in rent are ongoing. Officials have been working on this deal for the past year as thousands of migrants have arrived in Denver seeking shelter and emergency services, many of them fleeing from humanitarian and political crises in Venezuela. We know that the migrant families arriving in Denver work tirelessly from the moment they arrive to find jobs and housing, and this new partnership will provide the important temporary support they need to be successful here, Johnston said in a statement. Little Citrus of the Poor, a Catholic nonprofit, closed the assisted living facility in 2022 after 105 years and deeded the land and buildings to the Archdiocese. The Archdiocese plans to revamp the property and use it for senior housing in the next 2 years, but has agreed to let the city use it temporarily for migrant housing.
Interesting.
That's about it on
That's
that.
about it.
So
And that was
That was-
a proposed article dated,
2 weeks ago, December 21st.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago.
right, the, next item is there's a community screening of Keisher, the West Side Jewish Connection, Wednesday, January 31st, 2024 at the Holiday Theater. There was a link in Jamie Torres's newsletter, and is there one in Amanda's?
Yes, it's in our newsletter.
Okay, so you can go to both of those to get tickets. The tickets are free. You just need to get a ticket.
What, the date and the time?
Okay, it's January 31st, 2024. It's a Wednesday, and I did write down the time.
I think it's 6. And it's at the Holiday Theater.
The Holiday Theater is on 32nd Avenue, just east of North High School, in the next block.
And who's doing it again? Who is it? Some teachers or?
Well, no, it's,
City Council in conjunction with the Office of Storytelling.
Oh.
so I think it'll be, there have been private screenings of this, but this will be the first time that the community has been available to, it's been available to the community as in whole, so.
Sarah, were you aware of this? I was just wondering if Sarah
Sarah?
Feldman? Whoops.
Oh, she's
Sorry,
muted.
no, I was not. I mean, I wasn't aware of this specifically. But I was aware that some of this was going on. I didn't have the specifics. I don't know who's running it. I was trying to find that out. Because I'm not sure what this group is.
Well, it's the city Office of Storytelling, and they
Okay.
put together little
You know
things
what?
about segments of history for the city and county.
Yeah, I was at a meeting a while back for something else. And they were talking about this project going on in the future. When some other things they were working on, they had to sidetrack. But I don't know how anybody got any information. That's what I'm trying to find out because nobody seems to know about it. So that just
Alan
could be my
just posted
contact.
the link in the chat, so.
I saw it in Amanda Sandoval's newsletter. One newsletter.
And how do you get her newsletter?
Let me go again.
You can sign up online at her website, or if you're not able to find it, you can email district1@denvergov.org with your name, address, and phone number, and we can try and sign you up.
Okay, thank you.
It is at 6 o'clock. It's
Thank
at
you.
6 o'clock.
Okay, the next item is Keith, if you can give us an update on Denver Interneighborhood Cooperation, INC.
Thanks. Alan, could I share my screen?
Yeah, good to go.
Awesome, thanks. Just have a couple of links here. I think most of you know this. I'm the president of the Interneighborhood Cooperation. So we are a citywide organization that tries to get neighborhoods together and work on common issues for neighborhoods. Can everybody see my screen? This ink here in review?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I recently put together this year in review of the stuff we did last year, just kind of some highlights. We got our in-person programming back together, which we had to stop over the course of the pandemic, and that was a huge lift for us. So we had meetings all over the city last year, and I think really we focused a lot on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and trying to make sure we were having meetings at different neighborhoods that weren't represented. We had meetings in Globeville area, Swansea, North Park Hill, and also talked about how to work on including, making sure diversity, equity, inclusion were things that RNOs were kind of focusing on, and trying to really use some of those guideposts in increasing membership in RNOs. And then we had our awards dinner that we brought back, where we actually celebrated some RNOs that are very close to us down, below West, kind of Colfax, Barnum and Val Verde and Sun Valley, in coming up with the West Area Plan, which has been, just very highly touted as a area plan that puts quality of life as the priority for the neighborhood, which I think is great. If anybody gets a chance to peruse through that, it's a really great document. Like I said, we relaunched our awards. We gave away 18 neighborhood awards last year. We raised $17,000, and we had 150 participants this fall at the awards ceremony. So we're looking to do some more of these events coming up in the next year, along with having more community outreach and community meetings, which kind of brings me to my next focus, which is we have a meeting coming up this Saturday. The Denver Botanic Gardens is going to come and talk about xeriscaping ideas in Denver for property owners. That's going to be at the Carla Madison Rec Center. And I can put these links in the chat too if anybody wants to sign up for them. It's at the Carla Madison Rec Center, which is on Colfax and right by East High School. So it's a quick trip down Colfax from the Sloans Lake area. It's going to be this Saturday morning from 9 to 11. We also have some elections coming up for open at-large board positions, and we have some committee work on zoning and planning committees and our transportation committees and climate and sustainability as well, that we're really looking forward to doing some good work on behalf of neighborhoods collectively this coming year. So I can drop these links in the chat, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to send me an email. I'll put my email in there as well. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
And Alan, if you can show slides 14 and 15.
Oh, geez.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
holiday.
that's right, yeah. well, that's
Okay,
right.
well, that was our December meeting, and there's some pictures that were taken at the Metro Village on their 18th floor party room, and it was well attended. We collected money there to provide gift cards to the children living in the Del Norte Veterans Apartment. Let's see, we got enough money to provide $50 gift cards from Target for each of the children. Leanne Seltzer?
Leanne Stelzer.
Stelzer,
and Margie Grimsley.
and Margie Grimsley put together some gift bags that we inserted the gift cards into. And we received a thank you card from the family that got the gift cards. And there's the pancake breakfast. We had a couple of great chefs flipping pancakes. And it was well received by the people that live in the building. Which means we'll probably do it again next year. That'll be our 12th annual. We have available t-shirts that came from Sloan's Lake. Unfortunately, I didn't bring them to the meeting tonight, but they are available, and we now have a way to pay for them with Venmo, thanks to our co-president, Deb Neely.
Can you please tell us the story of it came from Sloan's Lake, please?
Okay, the graphic on that, my son worked at Alamo Draft House, and they had a weekend festival of horror movies from the 50s. And they created that t-shirt, and it didn't have a trademark on it, so I
Stole it.
It was what the employees wore.
Stole it. That's what
the
you
employee,
What the employees
it was
wear.
for the employees to wear, and so we got scanned the image in and had them printed on white t-shirts, because it was the shirts themselves at the time, they were like dark blue, and it wasn't easy to recreate that on a dark colored shirt, so.
You just got hold of the movie, that
Well,
would be great.
he wore the shirt that our son gave him. He wore it to Jammin' on the Jetty, not this past year, but the year before. And the number of people said, "Oh, where did you get that shirt? I want a shirt like that." So our other kid has a home business with where they print t-shirts and stuff, and so we got some made up.
The adult sizes, we have large and extra large, and they sell for $25. We have kid sizes, medium and large, that are $20.
Good shirt.
So the next thing we wanted to discuss is suggestions for goals for the Sloan's Lake Citizens Group for the new year, 2024.
What issues do you think we should focus on, and what kind of speakers do you want to hear, and that sort of thing?
Can we say?
Sure.
Do you want to? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks. I really am concerned with the lake. That's a big project for me. It's my own project, but I'm very concerned with the lake. So I like that you're having all these different people coming in, letting us know what the little pieces that are being worked on are. because it gives a sense of it's not just being left to sit. And then people that I know are very concerned about the lake. So I can tell them, oh, wait, there's these little pieces and it's not going to happen overnight. And they're really exploring what the problem is. And here's what they've done. And, so every time you have these people come and talk to us, I go back to the people I know that are all concerned about the lake, because that's right, like in my neighborhood, where I am. So I want us to keep doing that. I really want that to be a focus, that we continue, maybe not every month, but every 2 months, every 3 months, have people come in. And the guy tonight gave more information also that I personally wanted. So I feel like that is really important to do that. I feel it's really important. So that's number one. I mean, it's just my thing. I don't really have a second thing.
If I could jump in, I'd like that to also include the park. The park, from the time that I've lived there, has just deteriorated so much. The grass, which mostly weeds, and trees aren't trimmed, and graffiti and all of that. So, the lake is foremost, but the park is also important.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree. Okay. So what do we do to get someone in to talk about the park part of it?
Okay, I have a contact with the manager whose office is in the boathouse, and I'm going to give her a call tomorrow because she was not in when I stopped by, and see if she can come and talk at our next meeting.
Oh, great.
Roxanne Hill, right?
Keith also has his hand up as well.
It seems to me that we need to put this out to a bigger audience than just the Sloans Lake Citizen Group Wednesday meeting. And I would think that maybe we could sponsor, maybe between a couple of other RNOs, some type of Saturday afternoon presentation at the Corky Gonzalez Library, or something that is more user-friendly than a Wednesday night in the winter, because this is a huge issue. And I agree. I think it's my number one issue is Sloan's Lake and the park. And it's not just us, it's the other side of Sheridan also. And it's Edgewater, it's Lakewood, it's Wheat Ridge. And I think if we put it out there to a bigger audience in a Saturday presentation, it would be a great, and it would have to be more multifaceted than just one person. You could have, different aquatic biologists. We could have videos. We could have a couple of breakout sessions and put it before the community and say, what do you want us to do? And how are we going to get there? And how are you going to, get involved? And it really
This might work way into what Kurt was saying, that we need to have people getting, contacting elected officials
absolutely
to say, this is an issue that we really want up to and including, the mayor's office.
Exactly. And now I was gonna say, if we plan this ahead of time and we present it like in April, we would give Mike Johnson a heads up, and Amanda and Ms. Torres, and get everybody on board and go to the Corky Gonzalez Library. Or, I think that would be the most appropriate place because it's probably the closest to Sloan's Lake. But, some type of really big event that would start in the spring to get people involved.
Online, we have two hands up. We have Keith and then Viviana.
Yeah, I was just going to echo, what other folks have already said, which is, I think the lake and the park are the top priority here. I think one of the things, I will say with INC and the committees that we have, and bringing folks from the city in, they'll talk your ear to death about all the programs that they want to do, or, you know, their ideas or whatnot. And, you know, that tends to take up a large amount of space in a meeting. And there's not really a time for ideas to come out from the community. And so one thing that we've done is to really limit the amount of talking that the city can, you know, folks from the city offices can have in a meeting, and make sure that they're spending time listening, just as much time as they're coming to talk about things. Because I think I think there was somebody from Parks and Rec that either came and spoke, you know, at our meeting at Sloan's Lake, or a parks meeting about, like, you know, tree usage and whatnot at the lake, and how they're using I don't know, secondhand water and things like that. And that's all real interesting, but it doesn't get to the core of improving the park and the lake, which is the stuff that we really want to be talking about. So I would just encourage whoever we have come and speak at these meetings, that they do as much listening as talking, from our group, and really trying to get those ideas coming forward from neighborhoods about you know, what ideas we have for the park. Oh, and traffic. I really think we need to focus on traffic as well in the area over the next year, and traffic calming measures in the neighborhood.
Hey, thanks, Keith. Viviana?
Hey everyone, I am Viviana Casillas. I'm actually, thanks for shouting out the library. I'm actually the new branch supervisor for the library. And I know that for whatever situations, we were not connected for a period of time. And I just joined the team as a supervisor. I've been working for the library for the past 18, 20 years. And so I'm getting myself out there everywhere. Yesterday I was weekend, and today I'm here. We want to be present with the community, support whatever efforts we can from our side, whether disseminating information or the usage of spaces. I'm definitely open up for conversations. And so I will send my information via the chat, but I also connect via the email that I have from what I found on the website to connect to the meeting today, so that if anyone is interested in visiting the branch, you know, utilizing the spaces that we have, whatever it is, the library is looking forward to partner with our community back again and getting reconnected with everything and everyone.
Great, wonderful.
Good. Well,
Thank you.
welcome to the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
and your name again, please?
Yeah, Viviana Casillas.
Garcia, thank you.
Okay.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
So our time is running out for the evening, but this thing came in and I thought it would be just an alert that starting on January 14th, they're going to be doing some overnight work on Sheridan Boulevard for the lead water lines. So it's the houses starting at 790 Sheridan up through 1000 Sheridan Boulevard. There's 10 houses that they'll be blocking off some of the lanes in the middle of the night to do the work, which makes sense for a change rather than in the middle of the day. So
Sorry for those people that are gonna be trying to sleep.
yeah, but they said that they're trying to mitigate the noise, trying to comply with the noise ordinance from the city and county of Denver and the city of Lakewood. So anyway, it's just something coming up. So if you're driving around late at night and notice that it's constricted down there, maybe find another way to get north and south.
Tom, I have a question. Is it appropriate now to ask, or?
Sure.
Okay. You were getting all that great information on the corner project, and we are going to have some low-income homes, apartments that were going to come up. And we had somewhere along the line, two guys talk to us from the city planners or somebody. I remember sitting listening to what they wanted to get their paperwork in for, and the plans that they thought they had, where did everybody go?
Tell them what.
Well, in our October meeting, the people, we had a presentation about the properties on Knox Court, and they are going in for their final zone approval. They finally picked a zone district. They were looking at 4 different ones, and I got an email today on which one they selected. And so, you know, things are going along. I think can't remember where there's 14 units of low-income housing that is at the current project in the townhomes. When they get the rezoning and they do the demolition, they will find affordable housing either in adjacent properties or something for the people that are currently living there, and there will be an equal number of affordable units in the when they redevelop the property.
And what
But
about
they're going from, you know, townhome zoning to 5-story zoning.
And
on that lot.
like, I thought that property at the corner of Sheridan and 17th, okay? There were all kinds of plans for it. What is that supposed to be? And now it's not going to be, it's gonna be $400,000 units?
It started out that it was gonna be all for rental units, but I think part of the reason why it went to condos is that there currently is a glut of apartment units, but also the state of Colorado has adjusted the laws so that they aren't, somebody let those people in.
Yeah.
Cause that the laws have changed so that it's not as the owners of developments like that are not as subject to lawsuits from defects on the project. So.
But and it seemed like I'm going along with what Sarah was saying, that it seemed like what was going to go in there was more affordable than what's going in there now.
Yeah, that we're going to have a number of units, and they even gave us a price, what they were going to charge.
Yeah, and that was definitely lower than this.
How things change.
Yes. And the history of the project is there was a group of the property owners that worked with a developer to do the rezoning. Once that was rezoned, that was sold to another developer.
Okay.
So that it went to, let's see, what's the name of that? The developer was Gray's Development, which has offices down in the tech center, and the contractor, LOKAL Homes, is a subsidiary of Gray's Development. But at least something is finally getting done, and
yeah, it's not going to be an eyesore anymore.
Sitting there, I had to call the developer several times to say, clean up the mess, because there was like discarded mattresses and box springs and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I went over
the property, and the weeds were, at least they didn't get as bad as some properties where they were taller than I, but the weeds were let to grow. So I think things are finally moving on, which means when they're finally done, we will have sidewalks from from Annie Place down to 17.
Right.
And on Sheridan, which now you can walk in the gutter.
Yeah, right.
Right.
All right.
So,
All right.
Sarah, to give you a little
okay, our
context, I was-
meeting is run 15 minutes over, so good night. We will see you
Okay.
all.
Alan have something? Okay.
yeah, I was gonna say, everyone's welcome to leave. I just want to give Sarah a little context of $400,000 sounds really expensive, but of the 80 homes for sale in our neighborhood and in West Colfax right now, there's
No,
only
it's-
three
I
of them
know.
that are, there are only three of them that are $400,000 or less. So that's actually
Yeah.
pretty affordable for the market
Yeah.
rate.
And our next meeting will be on Valentine's Day, Wednesday, February 14th. So maybe we'll have Valentine's candy for those in attendance.
Here, crickets already.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
oh, Ash Wednesday too, yeah.
Does anybody want street signs for the speed limit? Or yard signs, sorry,
For the what?
for the
For
speed
the-
limit?
Yeah, I
signs?
will take a couple. Thank you for bringing.
Tom,
I
could you
brought-
grab one for me?
Yeah.
I will,
sure.
Alan.
Thank you.
Mine in English and I think